What's up, everybody? Fallout here, live alongside a legend. If you don't know this man, you've been living under a rock for the better half of the 2000s. We'll see how humble he is in a second. But I'm joined alongside Jerry Ferrara, a.k.a. Turtle from Entourage, my favorite TV show of all time. Big fan of this man right here. Also, more recently played Joe Proctor in Power, and of course, joined alongside multiple movies, Think Like a Man, Las Vegas, and others. Big honor to be here alongside Jerry. How you doing today, man?
Man, we might have to end the interview after that. That's a great intro. I don't think I've ever been introed. I was like blushing. I was smiling. Wow. It's a great intro.
You know, the biggest thing of us esports commentators is we just bring the hype to everything that we do, including introductions to interviews. So maybe
I want you to kind of do that when I walk in any room and just do that intro.
Maybe I can just follow you around. That's perfect. Yeah, I could just be your intro guy, your hype man. Yeah. Everyone needs a hype man. Yeah. Were you, I got to ask, just transitioning a little bit to the gaming and esports side of the house, because I can't wait to talk to you about that. Were you the best gamer of the Entourage crew, hands down?
Oh, by far.
By far.
I don't really think it was close, because honestly, you know, Kevin Connolly, not much of a gamer. Adrian Grenier, although like Adrian and I played Halo once, like on set. We had a lot of games in the history of Entourage. If you ever want to go back and look at the history of gaming on Entourage, is pretty cool. Kevin Dillon would probably, I'd say, be the second best gamer who played Johnny Drama. Little known fact though, outside of gaming, but like pinball and actual arcade games, Dylan by far was a beast. He actually has a lot of arcade games.
That's awesome.
Excellent world-class foosball player, Kevin.
Interesting. Foosball, all right.
Foosball, but gaming-wise, I mean, it wasn't.
It's a tabletop game. It certainly counts. That definitely counts. That's awesome, man. Good stuff. And on that note, you as a gamer, you're obviously a massive gamer. You're playing a lot on a consistent basis. You stream when you can. What got you into games originally? What were some games you played, you know, that got you hooked when you were younger?
Oh man, so I'm old, you know. I'm 41 years old, and I still remember the day I got my Nintendo and opened up Duck Hunt and played Duck Hunt. I think obviously like Mario Brothers and Super Mario Brothers and everything like I just was in on Nintendo. Ninja Gaiden, Mega Man, Zelda. I was just in. Nintendo hooked me in. I've never stopped. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I still remember the code verbatim off the top of my head to get directly up to Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson Punch Out. If you think I'm lying,
I miss cheat codes in games though. You're right. What's the code?
007 373 5963. Again, that's 007. Yeah, you heard me. That's right. Go back and check the tape. You know it's
run it back. Make sure someone verify this, please. We need to verify this. Do a quick Google search. That's awesome.
And you know, I segued with every console. You know, Sega Genesis, Sega CD, and then obviously getting to like Nintendo 64, and then things really started getting obsessively different. Obviously, I was a big sports game fan, like Madden and all that stuff. But then like GoldenEye.
Oh yeah.
Changed everything for a lot of people.
You were the guy that played his oddball and would run around and crouch.
Of course
you were. You were that guy. You're from Brooklyn, so you just do whatever it takes to win.
Obviously, Halo. I mean,
big Halo player. Nice.
Some of those early days that I told you about in LA when I was working at the restaurants getting fired, like we didn't have any money and access at all. So our Friday nights were spent a bunch of 20-year-old kids having like LAN parties. We'd get like, we had 2 Xboxes. We bring like the TV from my roommate's room into the kitchen, and we have 4 guys there, and then we have 4 guys in the living room playing Capture the Flag on Blood Gulch.
That's
all
awesome,
day
dude.
long. So, you know, it's just something that's been a part of my life forever. I even try to tell my wife this all the time. Like, she doesn't ever give me a hard time about gaming. She knows how much it means to me, and yeah, I've actually like managed to turn it into, I won't say like a full-on career, but like that's something I'm extremely passionate about. And I just try to explain to her, you don't know, like, this is the world I dreamed would be like when I was a kid. I used to remember going home from like my friend Joe's house, being like, man, I wish I could like still play Joe, but from my house, because I have school tomorrow, and he could be at his house, and we could still like play. I wish that would be so cool if that could happen.
Too funny.
So
man. Fast forward 10 years, and people are playing Halo online, trying to get to level 50 in Halo 2.
Exactly.
Awesome,
like when I log on and I put the headset on, I am 100% a little kid.
It takes you back. That's good. You need to embrace your inner child, you know, every once in a while. I think it's important to do what makes you happy, right? And on that note, what are you playing nowadays? What type of games are you playing?
Well, happen to be big into Apex right now. always with NBA 2K, and also because of some Knicks gaming stuff with the 2K League, which
Of course.
we could get into.
Yep.
And League of Legends. I'm not very good at League of Legends, but I appreciate it for sure. I think I'm still down in like bronze 2 or something, but that's like a chill game. You could have a snack.
100%.
You know, you back at base for 40 seconds. You can eat some popcorn.
You're that guy that disappears in AFKs and everyone else is yelling at.
A little bit. I've learned not to take League too seriously, but Apex, which I played a ton of, obviously when it first dropped, and then I sort of got away from it a little bit. It's just the way it goes. But recently, within like the last 2 months, I'm making a big run. I want to get to platinum. I'm not in I was in platinum, I think, back in season 2, and then I want to just make my way back, and it's slowly coming back. I've been grinding Apex pretty hard right now.
That's awesome. So you're sitting in gold, trying to get to platinum, struggling a little bit as a solo player. I think we talked about earlier.
Yeah, we said it earlier. Like because of I work a lot, and then there's sometimes I have these long periods of being off, and like I don't have tons of people who are around to play at 11:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. So nighttime I have a few people, but my problem is by 10 o'clock Eastern, I'm half asleep. So I've been forced to drop solo, and I haven't found the right. Usually it's Bloodhound because at least I could control a little bit and ping, but yeah, it hasn't really. Then it's been Mirage. I can't find the right solo drop.
The ideal solo drop. It's rough. It's rough as a solo player, that's for sure. There's some people that I don't know how they've done it, but have grinded all the way to Pred through solos, which is absolutely insane. I would not advise that. But the fact that you're trying and you're almost at platinum is awesome. We'll get some games in here soon. That'll be fun. Have you played League Mobile yet? The new Wild Rift League of Legends mobile experience?
You know what? I haven't, but my buddies that I play League with a lot swear by it. They say it's pretty good. And I'm gonna check it out. I just haven't, like, when I get that hour or two, I want to be at the command center.
Oh, you're locked in. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure, like, when I'm going back to work, I start this movie in July, and I'm gonna bring a setup with me as much as I can. But I'm sure when we're in a trailer sometimes for 2 hours waiting for lighting, so I'm sure it'll come in handy for that.
Very cool on the Apex front. Let's transition a little bit to esports and your journey in esports. I think it was, God, time flies, but I remember the announcement came out in 2017, 2018. The announcement that you were going to be involved with Knicks Gaming. Talk to me about your role with the Knicks, what that journey's been like.
Yeah, so one of the other massive things that have happened to me since, and it kind of coincides with the journey of my career is, my character was always this big Knicks fan. I'm a huge Knicks fan in real life, like ravenous Knicks fan, like almost like love them almost too much. And so I've also had the opportunity to do a lot of work for MSG over the years, and I've gone to a lot of Knicks games. I've gotten to know a lot of people there, and one day they reach out to me and they say, hey, the NBA's starting this NBA 2K league. And they didn't say that we don't know what they're doing, but they kind of said, like, we need help. Like, we don't know much about the game and esports and all that. And MSG obviously, owns CLG, so they really started getting into the esports space, and they kind of asked if I wanted to run it. And then I said, well, look, I do have a day job, although I go months without working. So we kind of agreed on this, like, advisor, consultant, scout role. But back in season 1, I mean, it was everything from helping design the jerseys to helping design the virtual court and then scouting the players. I mean, I interviewed in that season 1, I think 102 players were in the draft pool. I interviewed, I think about 95% of the pool, had a few no-shows. And then did the first ever draft. And I always tell people, and maybe you've come across this too, that people really don't still, I mean, I know obviously esports has come miles in the last even 2 years, right? Let alone the last 10. But there's still some people that I come across that just don't get it. They're like, what? So it's one guy playing, it's 5, they press the A button. I'm like, listen, the
happens all the time.
Right. And the best way I always explain it, the easiest is, you need, especially with the 2K League, you need to think about it. It runs the same way as the NBA does. Now, they're not physical athletes. It's a different form of athleticism, but we run 5 out, we run pick and roll, it's 5 players. Same thing with like my job. Like we're scouting players, we're advanced scouting. We have contracts with analytics companies that we get these amazing numbers. We could pull up any play from last season and look at what this player shot from it's the same thing as traditional sports. So yeah, we managed to win the championship season 1, which it was like a Cinderella story. We were not a good team, and then we won this tournament that guaranteed you
guys have Nate. You picked Nate, right?
Of course, yes.
Oh, dude, I love that guy. I met him at a Bucks event, so Bucks GG at the time. I was supporting an event. Nicest kid in the world. I think he was he MVP that season?
He was Finals MVP.
Finals
for
MVP.
Us.
That's what it was.
And
okay.
then the league did well, so there was expansion, and of course the Brooklyn Nets, rivals to the Knicks, were an expansion team. They drafted Nate in the expansion draft.
Oh, that's a heartbreaker.
But it ends well. So we just had our season 4 draft about a month ago, and Nate was released from the Pacers where he was, and we were able to draft Nate back. So
no
Nate
way,
is
dude.
back with Knicks
Full
gaming
circle.
this year.
I love it, man. Trying to revamp that magic from season 1.
Exactly.
I completely forgot. Knicks won season 1. So what a way to kick off your career as a scout in esports. Which I don't know. Would you ever think you'd be a scout in esports 10, 15 years ago? It's pretty awesome.
No, man. I didn't. And but I do have to say, like, what I didn't know before I agreed to do it, and what I guess I've learned, and maybe it also coincided with just fatherhood and the way I become a father and just stuff like that, is like I just really like seeing these young people succeed at doing what they love.
Yeah. And
even talking to some players early on, like our players made a lot of money winning all those tournaments. It's like even having like sit downs, like, yo, you know, the taxes, you know that, right? Like we gotta. I'm not saying I didn't know that, but like these are, like some of them are 18 years old. I didn't know anything when I was 18 years old. So I've really enjoyed watching these young men enter into like the beginnings of their career, with still like this whole future of it going. Like I tell a lot of our guys, like, you know, after the 2K League, like you now have this great foothold in esports, like let it carry you, you know, into whichever direction your heart's pulling you, because there's a lot of different ways to make an impact in esports than being a player.
Yep.
But play as long as you can, like similar NBA guys, and then you could go do something great in esports after that.
That's awesome. So you're playing almost life coach advisor to these players as much as you are head scout. That's awesome.
Or I just like to hear myself talk.
One of the two. Yeah, one of the two. No, it sounds like it's some sound advice. I mean, that's actually 100% my journey. I, milked playing and competing as long as I could and was able to kind of progress that into a career as a shoutcaster and then a full-time job with Xbox. So I think you're spot on. That's definitely great advice for a lot of these players.
And you look like you have a blast, man. I don't know. Like,
I appreciate
you
that.
really do. I gotta say, I know it's a lot of hard work and stress at times. You look like you're having a damn good time doing it. So.
And so I know we talked about that a little bit earlier as well. You get to tune into the ALGS. Not only do you play Apex, but you watch competitive Apex as well.
I do, and then like, there's times where I just watch and I'm just like, it's so discouraging because I'm like, God, they're so good. I'm never gonna be that good. Like, even if I quit acting and told my wife, like, you have to watch the kids by yourself for 6 months of playing Apex every day for 12 hours a day, I'll never be that good.
Crazy.
But I do enjoy, again, that's why I always say, even like think about it like traditional sports. I enjoy watching greatness, and there's a lot of greatness in the ALGS for sure.
And last question before we wrap up, I want to be respectful of your time, of course. Thoughts on esports moving forward, right? Do you think that one day esports will be bigger than traditional sports, bigger than the NBA? And obviously that's a general statement, talking about esports as a whole, but you think of games like Apex, like Valorant, League of Legends, Fortnite, and the like. Do you think they have the potential to really become a mainstream sport where it's similar to how it is in Korea now? I'm sure you've heard the esports athletes are looked at as celebrities. Do you think that'll happen here in the U.S.?
I do. I mean, in the U.S., it's to me, it's like, obviously there's so many streamers that have,
exactly.
massive following. So like, I do think it translates into the esports component. I do. It's not young. Esports have been around way longer than people think, but it's still, in the terms of mainstream, is young.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever like surpasses NBA, NFL, but I think it could be right there alongside it. And I mean, but globally is the thing. Like we all know globally, it definitely rivals all sports in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. So yeah, I think it can get there for sure. And I think this is kind of a key time in it. And a lot of these decisions now will kind of dictate that. But I'm optimistic, man. I really hope. I just always hope that this day would come, that like gaming would be the way it is. I mean, we did an episode of, you know, esports tournament with Fight Night back on Entourage, which was some of the people's first like looks at, oh wow, they do tournaments for this stuff. Oh wow, you know. So I've always really kind of had a lot of pride in that episode, because not a lot of people really even thought that
back then,
that was a
especially.
thing.
You're spot on. Yeah.
You know, so
Wasn't even
I think
close
it'll
to mainstream at that point. At that point, we were still vying and fighting for publisher support and developer support. Now you have every publisher and developer owning their own first-party esports. So you're spot on. It is definitely been around for a while, but nascent, in, in general as an industry. How fast it's already grown, I think, is significant. I couldn't have said it better myself. Any final words? Any final shout-outs for anyone out there?
Just, I mean, obviously, I give shout outs to all our people within Knicks Gaming. Hopefully, have a big year, but also just like, you know, I don't know. I just want to continue to see it grow and get better. And, you know, I know my playing days are behind me. I'm never gonna be a pro player again, but I'm aging well into like almost like a caddy, almost like just wise words of wisdom from the old man Ferrara.
That's awesome. You can now bestow onto your Knicks team and beyond
I'll coach
that,
my
hopefully.
kids.
Exactly. Maybe you're future esports. I know you got a kid and a kid on the way, so future esports pros in the making potentially.
Yes.
I love it, man.
That sounds good.
That's awesome. Jerry, you're awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time, man. This is great. Much appreciated. And, of course, everyone that's watching right now, make sure to catch even more esports content on esports.gg.